Welcome back to the Coins Numismatic Series. Today, we're going on a journey through one of the most fascinating corners of modern British coinage, the 10 pence coin featuring Queen Elizabeth II. Now, I know what some of you might be thinking, it's only a 10p piece. I've seen them 1,000 times in my change. But trust me, these coins are anything but ordinary once you start digging into their stories. Behind every date, behind every design, and behind every coin withdrawn from circulation, there's a layer of history waiting to be uncovered. So sit back, settle in, because by the end of this video, you'll never look at a 10 pence coin in quite the same way again. 10 pence Elizabeth II 1975 coin. Picture Britain in the mid-1970s. Inflation was running high, the 3-day week had just passed, and decimalisation was no longer new, it was the way of life. By 1975, the 10 pence coin had already become one of the most common pieces of change in people's pockets. But this coin, the 1975 large 10 pence, holds a lot more significance than first meets the eye. The historical backdrop. Let's remember that the 10 pence coin had only been introduced 7 years earlier, in 1968. It was created as part of Britain's move towards decimalisation and directly replaced the florin, or 2-shilling coin, keeping the same value and even the same size. That's why older collectors often say the transition was smooth, the 10p and the florin could be used interchangeably. By 1975, however, the decimal system was fully entrenched. People weren't thinking in shillings and florins anymore, they were thinking in new money. This was the coin of bus rides, cups of tea, newspapers, and groceries. That everyday utility makes the 1975 issue fascinating, because coins that are heavily used rarely survive in pristine condition. Design features. Now, let's talk design. The obverse is the iconic Arnold Machin portrait of Queen Elizabeth II, introduced in the 1960s. It shows her wearing the Girls of Great Britain and Ireland tiara, a graceful, youthful image that defined her mid-reign years. Collectors often love this portrait because it's elegant, simple, and timeless. The reverse, Christopher Ironside's heraldic lion. Strong, bold, and instantly recognizable. The lion is one of Britain's most enduring national symbols, and Ironside's version stands proudly, claws extended, exuding strength. In uncirculated examples, the detail in that lion is breathtaking. The mane, the curve of the tail, every part stands crisp. Mintage. In 1975, the Royal Mint produced around 123 million 10 pence coins. On paper, that's a massive number. But here's the twist. Millions upon millions were withdrawn from circulation in the early 1990s when the smaller, lighter 10p coins replaced these large ones. A huge portion of those 1975 coins simply doesn't exist anymore. And that's why, despite such a high original mintage, finding high-grade survivors today is far more difficult than people realize. Market value. So what's it worth? A heavily circulated 1975 10p is only face value. But in brilliant uncirculated condition, you might see values between £5 and £15. Certified coins at MS65 and above can go for much more, sometimes pushing £100 if collectors are competing. The lesson here is condition is king. Errors. Errors are where things get really fun. Misstrikes, off-center coins, planchet flaws, even double strikes have been documented. These error coins can fetch hundreds, depending on how dramatic they are. Imagine finding a 10 pence coin where the Queen's portrait is off-center or the lion design is partially missing. Those are highly collectible oddities. Collector appeal. The 1975 10 pence resonates with collectors because it's both nostalgic and scarce in higher grades. It represents Britain in the thick of the 70s, it shows off one of the most iconic coin portraits of Elizabeth II, and it's one of those coins people remember actually using. For a collector, it ticks all the boxes: history, design, and rarity in condition. 10 pence Elizabeth II 1968 coin. Now, let's step back to 1968. This is where the 10 pence story truly begins. Historical context. The 1968 10 pence coin wasn't just another coin. It was a pioneer. Britain was still 3 years away from decimal day, but the government decided to release the 5p and 10p coins early to help the public adjust. Imagine holding one for the first time back then. It must have felt strange but exciting, like holding a piece of the future. This makes the 1968 10 pence more than just currency. It's a transitional artifact, a symbol of a country on the brink of one of its biggest monetary shifts in centuries. Design. The obverse, of course, shows the Machin portrait of Queen Elizabeth II. But for 1968 collectors, it's especially important because it was among the first times this portrait appeared on circulating coins. The reverse design, the heraldic lion by Christopher Ironside, was brand new to the public. Crisp, modern, and bold. And here's the thing, because the dies were fresh, many 1968 coins show exceptional detail compared to later strikes. Collectors often say the 1968 lions pop more. Mintage. The mintage figure here is enormous, over 336 million coins. That number had to be high, because the mint needed to prepare for decimal day and get people used to new coinage. But again, remember, that was over 50 years ago. Many have been lost, melted, or worn flat from circulation. High-grade uncirculated examples are nowhere near as common as those big mintage figures suggest. Market value. Circulated 1968 tens are worth their face value. But in brilliant uncirculated condition, they're worth around £10 to £25. Proof or presentation set examples are more desirable. And certified top-grade coins, MS66 or higher, are especially valuable, often fetching £50 or more. Errors. Error coins are the holy grail for 1968. With it being the first issue, any mistakes, rotated dies, double strikes, off-center minting, are very desirable. Collectors love the combination of first year of issue and error. If you ever find one, hold on to it, because those can sell for hundreds. Collector interest. The 1968 10 pence is a must-have for anyone building a decimal collection. It's historic, it's symbolic, and it's the coin that marked the start of Britain's decimal journey. Holding one is like holding the very first step into the modern system we use today. 10 pence Elizabeth II 1970 coin. Finally, let's look at the 1970 issue. This coin often gets overlooked, but it has its own fascinating place in the story. Historical backdrop. 1970 was the calm before the storm. Decimalisation was about to officially happen in February 1971, and the country was gearing up for the full transition. The 10p had already been in circulation for a couple of years, but the 1970 issue was one of the last before decimal day. That gives it transitional significance. This coin stood right on the threshold of one of the most dramatic changes in Britain's monetary history. Design. The obverse is the familiar Machin portrait of Queen Elizabeth II, elegant and youthful, framed with that tiara. By 1970, this portrait had already become a familiar sight. The reverse shows Ironside's lion once more. Some collectors notice subtle differences in sharpness compared to earlier years. That kind of detail keeps specialists interested. It's not just about having the coin, but studying how the designs evolved with wear on the dies. Mintage. The mintage here was about 133 million. That's less than the 1968 behemoth, but still a healthy figure. Again, though, many of these were later withdrawn and melted in the 1990s, so surviving uncirculated examples are always in demand. Market value. Circulated examples, face value, but uncirculated coins are worth £5 to £20, and the very best, certified top-grade examples, can push £50 or more. The fact that it's one of the last pre-decimal day issues gives it a collectible edge. Errors. As with the other years, there are error coins to be found, off-center strikes, die cracks, misaligned lettering. Any 1970 error is prized, but when combined with its historical timing, these become extra attractive to collectors. Collector interest. For many collectors, the 1970 10 pence is the final step coin. It's the last one before decimal day changed everything. That alone makes it historically significant. It's like holding the last breath of the old currency system before Britain jumped fully into decimalisation. So there you have it, the top 3 10 pence coins worth knowing about. The 1975 issue, capturing Britain in the heart of the 70s, a coin of everyday life but surprisingly scarce in mint condition. The 1968 issue, the very first of its kind, marking the beginning of the decimal era. And the 1970 issue, a transitional coin, standing right at the gateway to decimal day. Each coin isn't just metal, it's memory, history, and heritage. And that's the magic of numismatics. Ordinary coins become extraordinary when you understand the stories they carry. If you've enjoyed this deep dive into the world of the 10 pence, don't forget to like this video, subscribe for more episodes, and share it with fellow collectors. And tell me in the comments, which of these coins do you have? Do you remember spending them, or have you hunted them down for your collection? Thank you for watching, and stay tuned for the next episode in the Coins Numismatic Series. We've got plenty more hidden treasures to uncover together.